evening and welcome to Power Brief. This Thursday, it's another opportunity for us to come here and dissect, chew, and maybe consume politics and share the part with you, our viewers. Tonight, we look into the heated 2022 succession politics. We are joined by Mr. Douglas Maraga, who is a senatorial candidate in Nyamira County. He vied in the year 2017 and is saying that he's still on the race. We are also joined by Mr. Byron Oginga, a political analyst and also a political scientist and a public administration expert by profession. We are also joined by Mr. Jacob Okumu, a statistician and also a political analyst. We look into the current happenings in the political world, that is in the Kenyan context, how it is affecting each and every person's day-to-day activities and what it poses to the 2022 general elections. We are seeing matters to do with Honorable Oscar Sudi, the MP for Emurua Dikir, Joanna Ngeno, having spat some words outside that seems to have rattled the feathers of some individuals in the wrong way. We're also seeing Governor Mudomi Njuki, Governor Okoth Obado, and the MP for Larry going to court, having been taken to court for corruption charges. Governor Alfred Mutua of Machakos has declared that indeed he is on the race to become the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya. Join us on this discussion tonight as we bring to you the opinions of our panelists. And remember, this is their personal opinions and not the official position of CAC TV. You can also find us on CAC TV Kenya on Facebook and CAC TV Kenya on YouTube. Gentlemen, welcome to Power Brief tonight.
Thank you so much.
I can see you look jovial and well armed for tonight's topic.
Just that it's hiding behind the mask.
Despite the cold, actually, because of the COVID, but we have to fight and see how we overcome this. We are almost, they say there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And most of the times we don't see that tunnel.
And sometimes it is also in the tunnel.
It's also in the tunnel. Anyway, guys, we begin by looking into this matter of the corruption. We've seen the honorables being turned into dishonorables, or themselves turning themselves into dishonorables. Corruption charges against Governor Mudomi Njuki, against Governor Obado, and others in court, Aisha Jumwa. And from your own analysis, Mr. Okumu, Mr. Byron, and Mr. Maraga, are we expecting anything new, or it's the same forest, same inhabitants?
Unless and otherwise, the leadership itself takes the responsibility of making sure that corruption is extirpated. And I can say corruption cannot end unless we create an environment that chokes it. Mm-hmm. Corruption is corruption, whether it touches the other party or this party. Corruption is corruption. If you are found culpable, the problem is to prove whether one is corrupt, because there's a way that a case comes out and then it goes this way, that way. We know this country, and then at the end of it, we forget about it. The shenanigans and the ulabalus that we see in the country, once the environment is created to choke corruption, corruption, I promise you, can end. It starts from top leadership. It can also start from the bottom, but the bottom now needs to have the muscles, the energy, the power, and they need to have that unity, the togetherness to be able to fight corruption. But if one person says that corruption can end and then the other one comes against the one person, it needs to have that unity from the ground if at all we want to fight corruption from the bottom. But if it starts from the top, it can end.
Now, remember, our focus tonight is on the 2022 succession politics. And there are those political pundits and even the citizens who feel that the so-called war, they call it the so-called war against graft, is connected to the 2022 politics.
I think corruption is going to be a campaign agenda in 2022 for my seat, as in the presidential candidate who is going to get into the electorates with a message to end corruption. But this is not a new, and it is not a new narrative as such, because in 2013, Uhuru promised that he was going to slay down the dragon. What have we seen into 2017 up to now? His 10 years of power in power has been seriously watered down by corruption. So therefore, I see corruption as something that, one, the institution that is mandated to do research and bring people to books, that is the EACC, Anti-Corruption Unit. Well, first of all, it should do capacity building at the grassroots level, so that if I'm vindicated or if I'm bring to a court of law that I've stolen, then I don't find that fallback corner for sympathy and to mobilize my ethnic people or my area of residence people, so that I'm protecting myself under an ego, and I'm also mobilizing for my own continued self-interest. You get it? So EACC 1, they must do capacity building, then they must be assisted by the so-called political parties. Because if I'm elected by a certain party, I'm a reflective of the ideals and ideology of that party. I don't know whether in any constitution of any party corruption is hidden somewhere. You get that? So 2, our leaders also must be done for serious capacity building in terms of leadership expectations. Because chapter 6, we only get it in the course of law when somebody is being challenged out of misuse of office or abuse of office or conflict of interest. But these leaders, during induction, they're only inducted, I don't know, it is called the procedures of the house and ABCD. I'm not, even if they have been taken to, they should also sign it, because in the oath of office...
Have governors also been going for inductions? Because we see that one for members of parliament and members of the Senate going to the coast of Kenya, or maybe somewhere else to do a retreat for induction.
I think so, and because right now governors are seriously implicated in corruption, and the seat of governorship is going to be the seriously feared seat right now, because interest is there, expectations are there, and there's also a watchdog looking at you. So therefore, this means that the leadership narrative around corruption and implementation of government or personal ideals when in a position of leadership must also change. So therefore, my recommendation into 2022, what do we as the people want, and what are the political parties who are going to contest for power want, and also the institutions, right from IBC, DPP, DCI, what are the parameters they're going to do to see if these people...
We're coming shortly back to you, Mr. Byron, on recommendations on what is supposed to be done, and especially also the roles of the citizens. Kazi ni kubeba matawi na kusema hata kama ni mwizi wetu, or what is it? Let's also get the view of Mr. Okumu as far as graft, war against graft is concerned, and its perceived connection with the 2022 politics, that if you're dancing this tune, maybe they have put their reggae and then you're dancing to R&B, then you're parent.
Thank you, Cornelius, for inviting us to this show, and it's an honor to sit amongst these panelists.
Yes.
On matters corruption first, there are certain realities. One of those realities is that there is a research that was done, I think, by the EACC sometimes back, I think it was late last year, that revealed that I think it's only 1% of Kenyans that is not corrupt. That in every 10 people that you put together, 9 are highly likely.
So when you hear the 4 of us, you're a statistician, remember?
Probably most of us.
The percentage. Don't fear, my don't fear.
Maybe 0.
Give us a percentage, no. And be honest on that.
Okay,
we won't take it personally.
Okay. That's probably because we are 4 and we know each other. So, okay. So 2 is that one people remember one said, yes, that Kenyans would only strongly condemn corruption when they're not involved. Right? So the fight against corruption first has to be a deliberate effort.
Exactly.
It has to be realistic. Has to have a realistic goal of how do we reduce it to a bare minimum. Yeah? Because also one thing you've done, you've seen the office of the DPP, the office of what do you call it? The DCI. They've really done some good work. You've seen the synergy, you've seen the work in chemistry. But what is still lacking is the political will. That we need to ensure that people are really arrested, the investigation is thorough, prosecution happens in a way that is objective, right? We cannot continue politicizing war against corruption and expect to win. That cannot happen. It has never happened in any country.
Yeah, but I'm trying to say it is cognitive. It is something that is inbuilt in our minds, that if your time to come, or if your time comes, the only thing you see in a public office is self-enrichment. Is it a tradition we have captured ourselves into?
So I think we have to look at
In fact, there is a poster that it is perceived having come from Uganda. We are really trying to establish whether it is true or not.
Yes.
The slogan of this contestant, that he was contesting for MP, I think in some regions, in the Teso region in Uganda.
Yeah. Yes.
Then he talked of, when I get this seat, I will steal, but at least I'll not eat alone. I'll come to you. And actually, a number of Kenyan citizens, and I don't know how about Uganda, they are talking of, this man is very honest. And if it were me, I could vote for this person because he's saying what is honest.
So yeah, and as I was saying, for us to arrive at such a conclusion, we have to look at the history of our country.
Yes.
Immediately after independence, you saw how people were grabbing lands. All this has been documented, very well documented, and you can read and understand. And then there are people who have written books like Our Turn to Eat. If you read that, you see that the perception of Kenyans is that we can only eat if our man is in power. In fact, devolution came to demystify such kind of thinking by ensuring that the presidency is not as powerful and is not our.
But again, as it went to the devolution level, another thing again of our man, it's our time to eat. Maybe if you go to Nyamira, let me use the example of your county. Nyamira is composed of one tribe, maybe a bigger percentage. We can talk of 90, right?
No. It's actually cosmopolitan.
Okay, let's avoid Nyamira. Let's avoid Migori because Migori, we know its population. Your county, Kajiado, against a metropolitan. Let's take an example of Samburu County, and let's take another example of Turkana County. Come down to, let's go to Siaya. And find out that you'll find that one community is composed of the largest percentage. And we get from what we've been getting from you, the people who've been conducting the polls, you realize that now because it's one tribe, it narrows into a clan. In the clan again narrows down and down and down and down. So the issue of the turn to eat has been a mentality that not only at the president's level, but it's really still going down.
If you got him well when he talked about the history of the country, and having read Joka Misi, Looters and Grabbers, he is absolutely right, whereby Kenya was Kikuminized. And some of us, or the upcoming generations, what they have perceived is to pick up the tradition. Nobody wants to break and be real. We have been electing people who are sufficiently incapacitated in terms of leadership and what leadership means. So right now, if I look into 2022, as young as I am, I will need even a dictator to rule this country. A dictator who is not going to spare a corrupt person. In fact, even the law.
A dictator to do because the little English I know is that dictator means to dictate. Saying stand up, Misoku, stand up, senator.
You stand up.
So do you want a dictator who will dictate the right thing for the entire country, or a dictator who will wake up and dictate
the right
anything?
thing for the country? Because this country will realize we have a lot of resources, but these resources, they are not channeled in the right way. If I will have a democratic dictator who sees Kenya as a very potential country that can transform it, then really I'll vote for that person. But these political narratives of the deep state and ABCD, let me tell you, Cornels, the son of Kenyatta is called the son of William Ruto, and even the sons of Elodinga, and even me, my son, and your son, and your son, they should have the same life expectancy, the same accessible to resources at the same level, regardless. But here in this country, we are where a governor steals over 2 billion, and he thinks he's still up. The other day in Ireland, a minister didn't just put on a protesting march, and he resigned. He resigned because
Taking responsibility.
yes. Why can't that be happening?
Now, before Mr. Okumu comes on board, I'm sorry, and the senator here, they say give credit where it is due. There's a time even the president himself stood up and said, Jamini, mnataka nifanye nini? And ukiangalia kwa umbali kuna wale ambao walikuwa wanasema, and even some of you will attest to me, and as you talked of the cognitive,
Yes.
that hii kitu, it is too deep until even the president himself is helpless. Alisema mnataka nifanye, and you could even see his emotion. Sasa jamani,
May I answer you?
yeah,
We are a Christian nation. If we are a Christian nation, our dogma or our source of doctrine is the Bible, which means us personally, even our leaders are spiritually malnutrition. Because if you look at their subscription point, even the head of state, who is a Christian, I believe, is a Roman Catholic. And if you look at the ideologies of the church, and even expectation of the church on leaders, political leaders, then for the head of state to come out and say that, what do you want me to do? It shows us some moral inconsistency.
in fact, you're trying to say, Mr. Byron, as I usher in Mr. Okumu, you're so silent, Senator, we might...
No, I'm getting it. I'm coming back to what you said, a dictator. I'm loading.
What Byron was trying to say, and the cry of the head of state shows that majority of us, yeye ana roho hata ya kusema anataka asaidie, but since the root is so deep, Byron ana maneno yake, Omuse yake, senator yake, and you actually talked of out of 10, sijui nane wako mbaya.
Let's do that clear. It was done by ESC in the public domain, and it has, supporting argument.
Yeah.
But let's come to the president.
Yes.
Running a government is complex, right?
True, very true.
And the president, especially Uhuru Kenyatta, since he came into power, one thing that he said, or rather implied, is that he would want a snowflake governance system, where you are, as an independent institution, you are empowered, you are well financed, then you do your work. And that's why when he was standing there, he was given a list. And I remember, if you follow that conversation, it came from the list of shame that he was given a document. He went to Parliament and pronounced, and some people, I don't know if they resigned or asked to step aside. They were never prosecuted. So these people are coming back to him and saying, Mr. President, I don't have a job because of what you said in Parliament. They said I'm corrupt. Why can't they take me to court? Why can't I be prosecuted? You get? So these are dynamics that we have to look at. Like, what is that? We have to do an audit and ask ourselves, where is the rubber not meeting the road? Is it at the investigation? Are we not doing sufficient investigation that would ensure that a case is strong enough for proper prosecution? Is it the prosecution? Is the DPP not hiring the best lawyers that can successfully prosecute a corruption case? These are things that we have to look at. Secondly, what the president was trying to say...
You've mentioned investigations and the prosecution, and I've not heard you mentioning a crucial part of the judges. Remember, there have been that cry even from the other arms of government, including the executive, talking of the judiciary is the weakest link in the world.
That if you listen to the president, what he was actually saying is that the fight against corruption is not an individual war. And that's what I was building by saying that the research that was done revealed that many of us are corrupt. So it will take us as a society to fight corruption. It will take all these institutions functioning, judiciary, executive. It will take everyone fighting corruption. But what do we have then and still has now is the blame game. So it's not working. So it's not working. Where are we going to get with that?
Let's hear from the Senator before I bring in Byron.
I want to come back
benevolent dictator.
I want to come back to what Byron said, a dictator. I think the word a dictator is a strong word. What we need in this country is a fearless, firm, and fair leader. And we cannot say that the president is not able to end corruption, because you can see the case like of Miguna. They had a stand. If they don't want you, they don't want you. So in the case of corruption, I think the approach needs to be done the same way. The approach is done when we do different things, but when it comes to corruption, we ease things. I think the same firm hand should be applicable to what we call corruption. And I think I resonate with Mr. Jacob that we need each and every institution to take a firm action and also to work. You know, there are institutions like if the DPP is working, the judiciary is not working at the same time. You find out that when you bring someone in court, the court releases that person. So we need to have that synergy whereby we have firm and hard evidence against an individual who is corrupt, and then the courts stand firm and prosecute that person.
Kiongozi, as you talk of firm, fearless and fair leader, I think that's F cubed, F3. F3 in this manner. And I'll still take you back to the tone that the head of state used at that event that was in State House some time back about unataka nifanye nini. You see, the head of state is a combination. Let's liken it to the body.
Yes.
The way you came in the morning. I'm very sure all of us here, none of us was having maybe pains in the leg, pains in the stomach, pains wherever. And that's how you were able to say, Omuse, I'll be tomorrow on the show at CAC TV, because you saw that your body was completely well. If it weren't so, sometimes my guests have said, bwana, nilikuwa nakuja lakini tumbo imenikia vibaya. So don't you think that still the president is justified to say that the society is rotten and we need a restart or a reset, going back to the factory mode?
I agree to that. Before you come to it, there is a script that when we were born, there is a script that we have been put in. When a child steals 5 shillings, or when you tell your child that do this thing, I'll give you money. You know, you are corrupt from the background.
Before you go far, as we are 4 of us here.
Yes.
There's an extent to which you can blame the society or even your parents for your own doing.
Yeah.
For example, if you live a mediocre life, you cannot keep saying that my parents were poor.
Exactly.
How, if you live, if you're corrupt, you cannot keep saying that it's the society that taught me this. The society has taken you to school, for example. The society has given you an opportunity. You just say that we are a Christian nation. What are you being taught in the church?
That's what I was saying.
You have been given an opportunity to do right. You have chosen to do wrong. So that has to be clear as well.
Let's hear from Oginga.
I want to take it this way, just to stem up on what the two of them have said. A philosopher called Socrates once said that an exam on life is not worth living. And if you look at it, which means as you examine yourself, you self-interrogate, you self-scrutinize yourself. And in the process of self-scrutinizing yourself, you realize it is so painful because you have to do away with someone. True. So if we look at whatever the president was, the scenario he was in, he was a disappointed person. Seriously disappointed because those
just the same way Byron is disappointed. I can feel it.
I feel
you can also feel Byron.
So if you would have a president or a leader who is subscribing to the Socrates philosophy of an examined life, because when you steal from me, you're killing 10 other people who directly depend on you. So, and again, we also have to, as a Christian nation, we have to strengthen the Jerusalem legacy, the Jesus Christ legacy, because that is in the letters of Paul. Paul was very confident, and he said, I'm very confident because I'm emulating somebody's of higher purpose than I am. Why can't we emulate these things and instill them?
Yeah.
Because in the church, the other day you heard it, elders were fighting over church offerings. That was too absurd. Now let us bring it to the society. At the family level where he told us, he brought for us. When in the family, that is the smallest unit of human interaction, So in the family, what informs me that if you give me 10 shillings, I should not return it back. Or if I find it there, I should hold it. So there's a process. All these things is how you see it somewhere, you copy paste, or you see it happen and nobody corrects you.
Thank you, Mr. Byron. I still claim on the head of state. Mnataka nifanyeje. So you tell the head of state, and before you're answering the head of state, but even every other stakeholders. who are participants in this, tufanye nini in summary before we go for a quick commercial break?
The main thing.
Yeah, main thing in summary.
Okay.
Tufanye nini?
The main thing to do, like I said, to have a fearless, firm, and fair president. Let me tell you, I believe
Only president.
I have a strong belief.
A president with a cabinet of corrupt men and women, a president with huku chini mambo si mzuri. Ataenda mwenyewe. Mimi nauliza tu,
a fearless, firm, and fair president cannot have a corrupt cabinet. Cannot, and will never, and must not.
Let's get from Ogunga whether that is achievable.
When it comes to presidency, I'll refer all of us to Article 131 and Article 132 that outlines function of the president and ABCD. But when it comes to whatever you're asking,
Yeah.
one thing, justice, to me, to you, that is the role of the state. That is why we strike the state that states should do something. So if the president or the head of state is trying to portray a picture of incapacitation, then what I would recommend, one, strengthen that institution and the laws that are protecting this, because we are in a very democratic, but I don't like the liberalness. The liberalness is what is delaying some of these things. Of let approve on ABC, and we always say, and we know it as scholars and researchers, liberal democracies are very slow to reach at a conclusion or a serious decision. So my message to the president is this: let us have a law that even puts these people to be hanged. Yes.
Thank you. In summary.
Okay, I would say first of all that the presidency is a symbol of national unity.
Exactly.
We cannot afford to resign. We cannot afford to feel helpless, even in the face of difficulty. But let us fight corruption objectively. Let us fight corruption in truth and in spirit.
Many thanks. We take a quick commercial break, and tonight we are looking into the hotly contested the 2022 succession politics. And inside these hotly contested general election, there are things that are coming: the war on graft, some new entrants coming into place, and also the matter of the civil wars that is in the Jubilee Party, and also the new role of the Orange Democratic Movement in the Kenyan political space. The big three men are on the show, and they are really grinding, crashing, and bringing it to you when it is fine-tuned. Keep it on Power. Theological Education Extension, TEE, is a department of Pcea Church. We offer theological studies and other discipleship materials to all people wherever they are as a means of helping them to grow in their faith and to live more meaningful lives. TEE prides itself in producing graduates that are making leaps and bounds in the following courses: Theological Education and Extension TEE, Holistic Nurturing of Children HNC, the Crossing Mentorship course, as well as an academic diploma in Guidance and Psychological Counseling. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we'll hold a virtual graduation on the 12th of September 2020 from 10 a.m. The graduation will be graced by the moderator of the Pcea 22nd General Assembly, Reverend Dr. Julius Gwantai Mwamba, and the Vice Chancellor of the Presbyterian University of East Africa, Professor John Mungania. This event will be broadcasted live on KAK TV.
Begins as a seed.
A marriage is instituted.
You now embark on the work of watering it, cultivating it,
Creating legacies from one generation to the other.
That is what growing families takes.
And for powerful discussions on family as we answer questions, demystify myths, and touch on those controversial topics, tune in to KAK TV as we talk a whole lot more about family.
As we grow my family, grow your family, and grow our families.
Because a stable family is a stable society. Join me, Faith Kaulu, together with Reverend Edward Karanja and Professor Catherine Gashuda on Transforming Families, right here at CAC TV.
Welcome back and many thanks for tuning in to Power Brief, and tonight we are doing the succession politics at temperatures that is in the year 2022. There is something unusual when it comes to succession politics, because at such a time a new head of state will be in town and the current will be exiting power. There are those worries and fears amongst those ones who are working within the system. That's why most likely is why we are seeing what is happening. In between the succession politics of 2022, there are a number of developments, new entrants, and a number of things happening. Some of the opinion shapers look at it as though it is something disguised maybe to achieve A, but in real sense is to achieve B. We have Mr. Byron Oginga, political analyst, and Mr. Jacob Okumu, who is a statistician and also a political analyst. We are also with the politician that is a senatorial candidate, Nyamira County, Mr. Maraga. They are taking us through these matters, and with their deep knowledge and analysis, they're helping us to shape the politics of this country. And still, it is their personal opinions and not the official position of CAC TV. Guys, we had really exhausted something to do with corruption. You've given good history, what is supposed to be done, fearless, farm fair, and all those things that you've come up with. Now, still in the journey to 2022, remember, war on graft was part of the things that the president said, wacha hivi vitu zingine zifail, lakini war on graft na kuleta watu pamoja, wacha nijaribu niipate hiyo. Anyway, we've handled that. Still on the journey to 2022. There is this issue of the presidential contest of 2022. On Sunday, we saw Machakos governor, that is Alfred Mutua, launching officially his presidential journey or presidential dream. And at the same event, or the same time he was doing whatever he was doing, Honorable Ruto, Doctor, the DP, was at the same location, few meters away, also talking to the people about his things. So we want to get from your analysis also, what does Mutua's entry present into the arithmetics of 2022? I can see Mr. Okumu is armed to start What do you think Mutua presents?
I'm not armed, or probably armed with the constitution.
Yes.
I would say first and foremost, congratulations to him. He has examined himself and believes that he's up to the task. So that's a big congratulations first. It's even a big step to pronounce that you want to vie for the presidency. Two is that is his constitutional right, as it's right in the constitution. He's above 35. He meets all the criteria. He has been a leader in this country, and we encourage more of him and many of him to come to the table and bring as many ideas as possible so that we can move forward as a country. Third is that he's a third-term governor. It's a second-term governor. We don't have that. And as a second-term governor, we cannot advocate for that.
And you become a lifetime
we
governor.
cannot advocate for that. As a second-term governor, we encourage him that he has gathered enough experience in the public service. We still need that experience as a nation. We need it either at the presidency, we need it either at the advisory, we need it at the national. We need that service, and we encourage him to keep serving. However, we also have to understand that, and this goes out to all the second-term governors, that as much as we also vying for presidency, if it doesn't come to work, you can still serve in many other ways. Even the church still needs the services of leaders like him. The community still needs the services of leaders like him. But over and above, congratulations to him.
Many thanks, Mr. Okumu. Let's hear from. But as it come back to you, it's something we want to compare before we escape that topic.
So, I really welcome the candidature of Dr. Alfred Mutua. And first of all, he has to come clean. Because way back in his first term from 2013, Office of the Auditor General questioned his office in terms of resource allocation. And in 2016, just before just a year to election, 49 out of 56 MCAs signed an impeachment motion against Mutua. And if you look at Article 181 about removal of a governor from office, those were substantial grounds because there is abuse of office. And if at all he never abused office, there will be no impeachment motion laid against him. So as much as Mutua is coming as the youthful leader that I would admire, he has to prove to us or to me, beyond reasonable measures, that he is up to the task. 2, he came, I like his aggressiveness, how he has metamorphosized into what he is right now. Because he came into politics through the Wiper Party, but somewhere he jumped out and formed his Mandeleo Chapcha, and up to where he has reached now. But the question I asked myself the other day when I saw Alfred Mutua, really, yes, he can have what it takes, but what is he offering new? Because I heard him talking about 5 million jobs. Jobs is a narrative that every other government has sold to us. Look at right now, the Kazi Mtahani. That is not something that the head of state was to launch. Counties were in a capacity to do that and create jobs for the youths. True or false? So if Mutua is coming with creating 5 million jobs, I will ask, what other policies are going to strengthen these 5 million jobs that you want to create? One of them is worker co-ops. 2 is re-employment policies. Like right now, over millions of people have lost jobs. Is this government going to create windows whereby if you are sacked from somewhere, the government have a policy of re-employing you, even if it is a subsidized rate, so that you don't become idle somewhere? Because we need that for somewhere for productivity. You get it? So if Mutua is coming as a presidential candidate, let him package himself well. And also we are also going to ask the institutions relevant to this background scrutinization that we want a leader who is not tainted. Because Mutua is tainted in his first term. And even right now he's in office because of the Supreme Court ruling. It was a hotly contested office against Nendeni. And also there are questions rise of what kind of a person he is. Or who is pushing him towards presidency? Or is it his own vision? So, at personal level, I really welcome him because having been a government spokesperson, first-term governor, until where he has reached right now, if he has the vision to change this country, then I welcome him.
Many thanks. Let's also get from the senator.
Article 137 gives him a right to vie like any other candidate in this country. And now he has to, what he promised in Machakos County. We will actually weigh him when it comes to us. Has he achieved what he promised in Machakos County? The 5 million jobs that he said in 3 years. Actually, this is the 7th year. You see? Has he tarmacked the highways that he talked about? And again, when he's coming on board as the presidential candidate, the question is he having the muscles to bring on board 8 million votes? We are not talking about the 1,000 votes that you can win in the county general elections. We are talking about 8 million. Does he have the muscles to run around this country to be able to canvass and bring 8 million votes in this country? He is capable of doing that. If he can be able to convince me to vote for him, of which I doubt he will.
You're with okay.
I don't want to declare it now. So he must come out strongly and prove is different from the other people. Don't come with that narrative that, I'll end corruption. We have had that, we end corruption. Show us in the county. Is corruption extirpated in the county? Then we talk about the national government. National government is not the county government, whereby you can run in the county, around the sub-counties and constituency and ward, and you are done. This is a country of 47 counties. You need money, you need resources, you need allegiance to be able to run around the country, to be able to get those 8 million votes for you to be the president. And again, remember, this country, you can win, and again, you won't be able to have that position. And again, you can lose and get it. You can lose also and get it. You know, it's about...
We shall have a show specifically to discuss that matter.
Yes,
for tonight.
yes.
Now, I love what you people have presented. You've talked of the script, and actually, my little knowledge on politics, you know, I'm a journalist, no, not a politician, actually. I understand. So, they say this thing is a script, and you have to be very keen to read the script. I'm told sometimes the script is direct, but most instances, this script is never direct.
Exactly.
Someone might say left, Kubana.
It means right.
Today, when he was launching his bid in Athi River, at the same time, Mudhama, who was a former ally of Kalonzo, was with Ruto few meters away again in church, and they also went out. And there is rumor on the street that the only candidate that Ruto fears is Mutua. What do you think Mutua's candidature poses to Ruto's bid at the same time? Because they're saying if he was a non-issue, then his appearance could not have come.
I think also it's the vice versa. Who fears who? Who fears who? You know, the other day Mutua said Ruto held his hand and he came out ranting.
Let's begin from Mr. Kumu.
I think one is one, we have to understand this in the context of Kenyan politics is still tribal, right? And one of the challenge Mutua still has to struggle with is not even Ruto's candidature, but Muthu's candidature, right? So he has to first ask himself, the reality of this country is I have to have Kamba votes backing me, right? Ngilu is safe, from my opinion, because she's fighting for second term. So she will be concentrated in getting that, and Makio, she will support whoever assures her that you are going to get the second term. That's a factor that Mutua must put into consideration. Two, Kivutha Kibwana must build a team.
Exactly.
Right? For the presidency. Now, neither of those two stands a chance if they all get to the ballot.
Including Kalonzo.
So before we even ask ourselves, Kalonzo is at least as a national appeal.
Yeah.
Before we even ask ourselves, that's a national appeal.
That is true.
That is getting interesting.
If you put Kalonzo, Mutua, and Kivutha Kibwana on a race, surely
Kalonzo will beat them down.
Kalonzo will beat them down. But here's so Mutua should not be worried about Ruto. Right? Mutua should be worried about his backyard. How do you consolidate your backyard? Once he has consolidated his backyard, I can tell you for a sure and for a fact, we are not going to have a ruling party as a government. Not even ODM, not even Jubilee is going to form the next government. It's going to be a government of coalition. So after you've consolidated your backyard, the second step is, who can I build coalition with that can assure me the presidency? Then you put all these factors, like he's saying, the deep state, and the senators saying the deep state.
Other factors, they hidden factors. But then you put on really find a day to look into that thing.
Yeah.
Whether it is there or not there, because
So Ruto should not be his worry right now.
let's get from Byron briefly. Do you think Ruto is a factor to Mutua or Mutua is a factor to Ruto?
Both of them have, they are a factor to each other in a certain way or another. But what I can clearly say is that depicting that so-and-so fears so-and-so, it doesn't play well, or it doesn't sell at the moment. What we know right now is Alfred Mutua, having been a government spokesperson, he knows what goes inside the government. And if at all the narrative...
He talked of Amejipanga in that... when they asked him, alisema Amejipanga with everything that is needed.
That's what
the answer that you just mentioned. He said he has everything.
And also always said, hao wengine wanaotaka kushindana na yeye pia wajipange watu wapatane kwa de. So the thing is, what I will just add on what you have said. When you are going to compete on a race, all logistics you put in your favor against any other possible candidate.
Be it Byron, be it
Right.
anyone, right?
So, if at all Mutua is serious that is not being pushed, or it is his possible initiative, then I don't see where Ruto as a war is coming in, or if Ruto is going for presidency as a sure is going to transform this country, I don't see how Mutua is coming in. But only the other candidates will only come in terms of strategy or in terms of now networking, so that we have a common points of interest, so that we harmonize, so that at the end of the day, your interest as a person is served, and also the interest of the people, which is now bringing a lot of conflict, is served. But I will sharply disagree if I will consider Ruto a threat to Mutua or Mutua a threat to Ruto, because we are still so early into the campaign period to satisfactorily portray it as it is.
Let's look into something here. It began as a small thing. Last week on our episode of Power Brief, we discussed it, and we thought maybe it was coming to a solution, but as days moves by, it's getting more worse. It's getting deeper and deeper. That is the so-called civil wars in the Jubilee Party, and also the new role of the ODM, Orange Democratic Movement, in the current Kenyan political landscape. Before we go to what's happening in Jubilee, we have to look at ODM. You pass on the streets. Our streets nowadays are on the social media. Actually, it's not the streets, the physical streets. That's where you get all the comments. You see Junet Mohammed speaking, and then people talk of now, if the former who are talking of these are the ills happening in the government are the same now defending it with their blood. And they are worried, like, are we really a country that focuses on the truth, a country that focuses on principle? Because yesterday you stood up and said that Byron is this type of a person, a dangerous creature in fact to the health of this country. Then the next morning, you team up with Byron, and anyone attempting to say that, whether true or not, you say, I'm ready to protect Byron with my blood, the last drop of my blood, if it will bleed to the end, the last drop. So ODM is where it is. There is Jubilee Asili, though not officially recognized, the ones that is allied to the DP, the so-called Tanga, and the other one on the other side. Let's focus on ODM and what such a trend portrays to the future generation politics of this country.
Najua ODM walikaa chini wakaangalia wakasema watu hawezi kula nyama wameza mate. So they came on board. So ODM has,
so kuna nyama wali as
exactly. ODM has a strategy. If you can look at ODM, unlike Jubilee is rumbling out. You can see that there are wrangles in Jubilee, but ODM wanajipanga. You see, they are planning each and every day. Actually, I heard the party leader, Honorable Raila Odinga, saying that the next general election, they are aiming at taking all the seats in this country. So it means wanajipanga. So coming to Jubilee, coming on government, on board, they are planning each and every day. And again, it seems that the party leader of ODM learned a lesson. That to win an election, you must have something, a relationship, a strong allegiance, a coalition with the incumbent to be able to strategize ahead. So each and every day, they sit down to plan. And they might be planning to Wombo Jubilee. When Jubilee members are asleep, they are planning. Each and every day they are planning. So when you are fighting in between in your house, for them it's a plus. You
so
see?
Senator, according to you, however much the streets or those on the anti-ODM are criticizing them, but to you, with your political eye, the third eye or even the fourth or fifth or sixth or seventh, you're saying that they're on point according to what suits them. As a party, politically, speak politically.
We are two eyes.
Politically, but politically.
To be honest, there is a role that we had ODM played before they came into government to form that coalition. They were into government, they are keeping the government on toes. But right now, they are with the government. So they cannot, in other words, they fear, they cannot, I don't know if they fear or what. They cannot go against the government. Since they are in the government and they have an agenda. So they are working towards their agenda right now. Their agenda.
And politically speaking, they are scoring
Exactly.
Let's get also from Byron, because I can feel the temperatures in the room. He's just talking politics.
He's sweating
speaking.
profusely.
Let's get it politically speaking. The current role of ODM in the Kenyan political landscape.
From my point of view, both ODM and Jubilee are dying parties.
Which Jubilee? Because we have to be particular. I've just spoken about
I don't know
factions.
Jubilee Assembly. I only know Jubilee, JP, Jubilee Party.
Mm-hmm.
All these are dying parties, and if you look at it keenly, the party leader of ODM is trying by all means, with the strength in him, to portray a picture that ODM is still the strong ODM, which is it is not currently. Look at even regional backyard support.
Mm-hmm.
Even in his backyard, Pcea, he lost a seat. That speaks a lot. Look right now, the kind of relevance they have given Governor Kotobado through the party rivalry, something of that sort. Look, long time or 27, ODM used to control up to northeastern Kenya, where the likes of Aden Keenan were elected into parliament through ODM ticket, true or false. But right now, if you look at the northeastern region, they have the Economic Front something party. That tells you the declining influence of ODM. Look at even Nairobi. If this is the hallmark of everything, as they said, they lost it in the governorship. However much they won some member of parliament seats, but to me, I see ODM is a lion whose strength is fading each and every day.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't think right and factor in the moments of this time, or the dictates of this time, then even 2022 it is going to be a pipe dream with the vast resources that they might have. Mm-hmm. On the other side, if I look at Jubilee, Jubilee was more of a party of the moment, let me call it so, because I've heard the DP allies saying that this was a party that the two of them formed with a lot of intensive vision. Huh? But right now the cracks inside are portraying what it was not formed for, as a ruling party. And these fractions only show us one direction. Make it now or forget about it. Because right now, if the DP, with his aggressive nature, what if he is denied a JP ticket? Because all factors are pointing towards that, possibility of that. Which means he's going to form another party which is not the JP. And that will mean that JP will exist as a party, mm-hmm. maybe in papers, mm-hmm. but the vision or the purpose behind it will be dead.
Mm-hmm. So let's also get Okumu's opinion before we come to homestage as far as the 2022.
Evaluate
yes.
These parties, we have to look at the foundation. If you look at Jubilee has taught us something. Many people I know who have parties, whether it's a briefcase party or it's a functioning party.
Next time as we do the deep set topic, we shall look into the briefcases function.
So it's a party. It's registered by registered political parties. They have learned that it's a great mistake to dissolve that party to join another house. I will take you back to 2022. We will not have a party as a ruling party in this country. We will not have a ruling party anymore. Mm-hmm. Maybe Jubilee or ODM. We'll have a ruling coalition. So what they are looking for right now, who is that ruling, who is that other coalition, who is that other partner? Who can we put together? Jubilee on the other end might be doing the same. Also, we have to give credit where it's due, that how old is Jubilee? It's under 10 years.
10 years. By 2022.
Yeah, but under 10 years, right? How old is ODM? ODM is older than Jubilee, right? It has actually endured.
I hear of some meme, I don't know whether it's a joke, that's the oldest party in the southern, I don't know, the southern part of Sahara.
The most influential.
From the Chungwa banana referendum.
That's
right?
2005.
2005, mm-hmm. Up to date. It's actually around 15-20 years. Mm-hmm. We have to give credit to it because we know that in this country, political parties do not endure that long.
True.
It's something else will come and sway it. Mm-hmm. Look at Kanu. Kanu was actually a dual longer than all of them. But it has, you know, you can see the relevance. So if, I'm sure ODM probably, you've seen what they've done with their internal structure, National Election Board. They're already revamping. They bring in Ms. Muma, whom I know personally is a great leader and will do a lot of justice in the nomination for people. Losing the seats for ODM, we know where it comes from, nominations. But that is also in all the parties. So right now I'm not worried about whether ODM will survive or not. The question is, what is that coalition that's going to form the next government?
And that
it's not going to be ODM as a party.
My question is
due to time, gentlemen, we look at where we are. History guides the present and also the future where we're headed to. As a country, we've had a lot happening. Not only during succession politics, you remember the violence of the year 2007 was not succession politics because the incumbent was running for the second term. In 1992, for those ones who are there, I believe you are maybe somewhere there, Byron and Moise, I don't know. Now, mambo yameanza kuwa mabaya, watu wanatusi watu. You see, matusi inatokea ingine, sijui mtu anatusi mama ya nani, you know, in politics and a lot of inciting cases. We want your final part to Kenyans, to politicians, both in the ruling side and those ones who are in opposition, or those ones who are in the ruling side, but in real sense, in reality, they are on opposition, but the party that they are in is the ruling party, and vice versa. What do you tell us as we move to the succession politics of 2022 in summary as we come to the end?
What I can say, Article 33 of the Kenyan Constitution, 2010 promulgated Constitution, gives everyone a right of expression. But that, again, it puts us into a place whereby you don't have to go to an extent of disrespecting someone's reputation and someone's character. So therefore, each and every politician must shun away from demagogical speeches.
Don't forget politicians. Remember, kuna watu politician ameongea zake, ila hata hukumu akiangalia kabisa anasema hapa nayo huyu amechoma. Lakini sasa raia kama mimi tunaamuka, mimi Omuse na matawi tena tunaenda tunasimama tunasema tunatetea wetu, and then they are fanning. Yani we bring out the roles that the citizens, everyone, all and sundry.
Yes, you know the law, it's like a double-edged sword. It can't cut on part of politician and then leaves aside on the part of citizens. So each and every politician should and must shun away from demagogic speeches. The same case to citizens. We should disassociate ourselves from such politicians, because character is something that doesn't need to be compromised. And once you compromise that, you are infringing the Constitution, because the integrity part of it, you lose the integrity part of it. So as citizens, we should stand firm to make sure that politicians stay away. If a politician doesn't stay away from such demagogic speeches, we disassociate ourselves from them, and we have a role to play. Let's raise our children the same way as we would like them to be when they become leaders.
Many thanks. Byron, in summary, your parting shot.
I think when it comes to defamation or attack, language attack, that is ill-informed, because one, as a leader, you should always portray you are a person of integrity, ethically strong and ethically competent. So I find that seriously not in conformity with my expectation to the said member of parliament who did that. And number two, leaders who come from areas where people are less literate or massively are ignorant should not take advantage of the ignorance of the people they are representing and portray it to a national level. And I always question, what if the law or the constitution factored in ignorance somewhere? We will be in a very serious mess. So, if we are abiding citizens as we portray to be, we should know that our freedom and even our rights, they have limitations. Beyond which now, Past that, now you meet another angle of whatever you said differently. And just to conclude,
Yeah.
we want a leadership that upholds the constitutions, all articles, because right now it is not just about chapter 6. It is not just about chapter 6. It is the entire constitution from article 1 to the last. Because in one way or another, it is what makes us as a country. So I would really wish that all of us, at least even hata kama ujui, jaribu ujue hata kipengele ngapi, it will help you.
Many thanks, Mr. Okumu.
Yeah, I would say this to the leaders of this nation. Kenyans are watching, and especially young politicians are also watching. Young leaders are watching. I'm part of a movement called Kenya on the Move. You should consider joining us. And what also brings together young aspirants, not even just young, but aspirants who subscribe to certain value of leadership, which we call the alternative. And so what we keep telling them is that there has to be peer accountability. Yes. At the political level, there has to be peer accountability at the party level. If someone says whatever, Luga Matusi, like what we saw, they have to be brought to account, to book. They have to be well disciplined within the party structure. So that's one. Then two is another problem with this. We elect this kind of leaders because of the nature of our election. I remember one day when I was an aspirant and we went for an aspirants meeting. And when I got at the gate, I thought it was another rally. Because the number of aspirants that were there. And what came to my mind was, how does a voter audit all these people? And when I was leaving, I met a group of ladies who were chanting the name of this particular politician, whom I know is a friend and was vying for parliamentary seat. And I asked them, so you're voting for so and so, for which seat? And they say governor. I don't even know which seat this particular politician is going. So that has to be seriously rethought. The nature of our election has to be seriously rethought if you have to be able to audit our leaders seriously as citizens.
Many thanks, gentlemen. We come to the end of Power Brief tonight as we have looked into the succession politics temperatures that our analysts tonight have helped us actually to detect and maybe to approximate where it is. But we are seeing it's about 60 moving upwards. We appreciate your responses on our social media platforms as we've been able to bring out to you what is happening in the corridors of power, that is in politics, and what it portends to the stability of this country. Mr. Maraga, Mr. Byron, and Mr. Okumu have taken their time to give out their peace of mind, either through research or experience that they have had. Next week, we shall be here as a Pcea church will be celebrating 100 years. It's called Elder Week. We shall be having those leaders from the church who have served in various capacities in government as we look into matters, politics, and governance. For me, Cornelius Omuse, I wish you a very good night.